Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Sunday chat today isn't really going to have orchids in it. That's everybody gone, whoosh, you hear the door waggling in the background. Basically I want to go over the concept of the Project Orchids, how I thought it went, and having got to the end of it, I wish I'd thought the end out before I'd made the start. Now when we started looking at 8 orchids that you voted on. As it happened, one of them died and had to be replaced by that which was voted number 9. That was brought back in to replace it rather than have a gap. So we continued with 8 orchids, and basically 8 orchids, 1 a week, over 8 weeks is 2 months worth. So then by starting again, we were doing 2 monthly updates on those 8 orchids. That's how it worked. And like when I got to video 2 for a particular orchid, I put a link in back to video 1 for those who wanted to go and watch it if they hadn't seen it. So it pays to watch them in sequence. Now, this was all well and good until we got to the end, when I put all the clips together, slightly edited, you know, front and back taken off, that sort of thing. You don't want to hear "Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by" 5 times in one video, do you? So they were edited just for the content, really. And I put all 5 videos, the 4 that I'd already done and the one that I did on the day, together in one video. That effectively negated the playlist, which had all the individual videos in. Well, why would you watch all the individuals in the playlist when you can actually watch video 5, which has got all of them nicely merged together, yeah, with pop-ups saying when they were filmed and all stuff like that. So if I'd thought the Project Orchids through to the end, I'd have realised the mistake, basically. Well, I won't call it a mistake, it's just, you know, it didn't work the way I quite anticipated. Nonetheless, those that watched them enjoyed them. Those that didn't enjoy them didn't watch them, and that's pretty obvious by the number of views on the videos, which, if you take the Sunday chat video, they were around half, or just over half to 2/3, which means quite a few people had a video that they weren't prepared to watch. Now, as the channel creator and wanting my channel to grow, I need to do something about that. I can't have once a week videos that are not going to get watched by the majority of the people. So we won't be doing the Project Orchids like that. However, I'll go over what I have in mind. The orchids in question, most did okay. Apart from the one that died at the beginning, they all came out the other end, so they all made it to the end of year, the final update, which was good. Some actually progressed pretty well. So yeah, overall that was the 2023 Project Orchids summed up. Now I will leave the playlists because they don't take up any room on my computer. They take up space somewhere in the vast world of YouTube, where it stores all its stuff, some giant cloud somewhere, I expect. But it's not taking up any room on my computer, it's just a list. You know, the contents of the list are on YouTube, so I don't worry about that. So I will leave the playlist there. Some people might actually enjoy perhaps putting one of those playlists on in the background with an orchid that was of particular interest, and just letting it play in the background, and then that way you watch all the individual videos, or let them play in the background, whatever. So I will leave the playlists there. Right, so that was that, and thanks for those who watched the Project Orchids. Next we move on to thanking everybody that watches any of my videos. In other words, thanks for supporting the channel. And I'll put an S on that, the channels, because obviously there are the other 2 as well. And I'd especially like to thank the people that have helped out specifically with the gardening channel, because I do want to try and grow that one. Now we're up to 475-ish subscribers. There's only 25 subscribers left to take it up to the 500 I need. Are you one of those 25? Could you be one of those 25 and just pop across to that channel and subscribe? At this point in time, I'm not even fussed if you watch any of the videos, but it would be nice if you could just get that subscribers number up for me. It's called Roger's New Garden. If you want to search YouTube for it, you'll find it. There's enough videos on there now to actually, that search works, and it will pull one of my videos up near the top of the list. So when there was only a few, it wasn't working so good. So Roger's New Garden, and there's 25-ish subscribers left to get to click over that magic thing. We're also up around 2,000 watch hours. These are more difficult to get, especially as quite a lot of the videos on that channel are quite short. Obviously, if it's a 5-minute video, it's going to take quite a few people watching that to get 1 watch hour. Well, I'm up around 2,000, I need 3,000. I suspect that number is not going to be achievable until into next year, quite a bit into next year, because there's just not much going on in the garden this time of year, so there's not much to film. So there aren't many new videos between now and when the early plants of next year start poking through, or in some cases producing their blooms. So it will be a quiet time, but if we could get the subscribers up there, it would help. And obviously big thanks for everybody who supports this channel, because that does include the monetary support, the actual donations on a monthly basis that you know, they help. We're having a cold spell at the moment. You know, we had a couple of it's funny, it was supposed to be a frost this morning and it wasn't. I suspect we had the frost in the middle of the night and the temperature was rising as it got to dawn, which is unusual, it normally drops. But we did have a frost yesterday, and we've now got a cold spell where none of the daytime temperatures are going to be that high. And consequently, the old bills start rocketing, you know, firstly, you know, trying to keep this place warm. So, you know, the financial support is greatly appreciated, much more so through the winter, much more so. In the summer it tends to support getting some new stock in, basically, but it covers things like kit maintenance. I mean, I had a heater failure a while back, I had to get a new heater. These circulating fans don't last forever. I'm hoping that my lights are going to last forever, because they're not on 24/7. They're only actually on a few hours a day, and then only for some of the months during the winter months. So, you know, then they can be packed up carefully in their boxes and put away till next year. So there is a bit of kit maintenance that's involved, some new stock, and obviously keeping this place warm through the winter and keeping it nice and airy in the summer, which nowadays only involves a circulating fan. So yeah, appreciate it, whatever support you can do. And don't forget that the actual creators get paid by YouTube, by viewers watching adverts, not watching videos. Yeah? If you watch a video and don't watch any adverts, that creator doesn't get any money from YouTube. Now, YouTube will be nasty and actually put non-skippable videos in amongst, you know, in amongst the mix, which means you've either got to watch that advert or you don't get to see the video. But that's how YouTube makes its money. It's got to do these things. And last of the list to get any financial aid from YouTube are the creators, the ones without whom there would be no YouTube. So cheers for your support, YouTube, taking large chunks of money off the creators, but then they do supply the platform. And all the checks and guidelines and everything, you know, to stop nasty videos getting up there, stuff like that. So that's what we're stuck with. And yeah, so thanks for the financial support. That's the patrons and the members of the channel. It's all good stuff, and the odd buy me a coffee if you see a video that you appreciate. All the links to these things, including the Facebook group that I set up, all the links to all this stuff are in the descriptions of all of the videos. They're all there. Now if you're watching on a platform where you can't see the descriptions, then use another platform now and again, if you need to see the descriptions. I know if you watch on a smart TV you won't see the descriptions, and the info cards don't work either. Nothing that involves clicking or touching a touch screen works on a smart TV. You just watch basically. But there's no reason why you can't switch to watch a particular video on YouTube if you want to see the description on it. So there we go. Switch to your phone rather, I should have said. I presume descriptions are available on all of the smartphones nowadays, you know, the modern phones. You might have to fiddle because obviously, you know, you select a video, you touch it and it plays. If you want to see other stuff, you might have to do some scrolling and swiping and stuff. So I work on a laptop, I don't touch or swipe anything. It's all mouse stuff for me, so different thing altogether. But anyway, thanks for all that support, it's good stuff. Lights, I always have a mention what's going on with the lights. Well, there's not much changing on the lights now. They come on at the end of the day manually. I turn them on. I turn them on a bit earlier if it's been a particularly dull day, or is getting dark earlier, all that sort of thing. And they stay on to make up the daylight hours to 12 hours. That's what I'm doing with them. And at some point down the line I'm going to turn them off, and they will stay off for a period of time. That's when the plants will have winter declared officially, because at the moment I'm trying to keep stuff growing that wants to. But there will be a period where the lights will be off, and then they will come back on towards the end of February, beginning of March. I haven't decided, but somewhere around then I will start putting them on to increase the day length slowly but surely over a period of a couple of weeks to get back up to the 12 hours again, maybe even 13 or 14, because I want to trigger everything into growth early next year to give them the longest possible growing season, so we can put some strength back into those that are struggling a bit. So that's what's going on with the lights. Right, the new Project Orchids will not be called Project Orchids, and the project has already started. It's in its infancy, and it's called the Progress Updates. Is that rain? No, that's right. It sounded like rain. It's not. It's just the wind in the what's left of the leaves. Right, we have to think this through how it's going to work. The first one of those was done in June, and it related to a period 3 months or so earlier when work was done on some orchids. So in June we did a 3-month update at the end of June. Then at the end of the July we did another 3-month update based on those that were worked in the next month. So it's still a 3-month update, but a totally different set of orchids. And we've progressed doing that. Towards the end of each month we've done another set that were worked on 3 months ago. I've already documented set 6, so I know that we're up to set 6. So I've done 5, one of which was in 2 parts because it was big. There was a lot went on in there. So we've had a few, and set 6 should be done by the end of this month. So that will be done this coming week, set 6. If you think about it, the first one was done in June. After set 6, which will be November's, if in December I went back to set 1, where we did June, that's a 6-month update. And I could start a 6-month rolling update on those we've already done. However, rolling along in between, we haven't finished this year yet, have we? Although the amount of work done will be getting thinner. So I've still got some nitty-gritty details to work out about how we progress. But we then get into next year. And come March, April time, I will be doing work on orchids again. Where do we go from there? Do we carry on doing the updates on those that have already had work done during this year and start some new sets for those that have work done next year? This could get quite complicated, and it's going to involve an awful lot of documenting on my part. On your part, I suspect you will just enjoy watching whatever comes up. It'll be up to me to do the controls and work out what goes where and when and all that sort of stuff. But basically there won't really be a Project Orchids for 2024. I will continue doing the progress updates in some shape or form with those we've already started. Be nice to have a 6-month update on those and a 12-month update, at which point I would probably drop them. And in the meantime, we will be getting some new sets together as work's done on some more orchids next year. And those would start new sets. So there's a fair bit to do, but I often get asked, it is something that is repeatedly asked, how is so-and-so doing? How were those orchids that you did together doing? Yeah? Well, if I do regular progress updates, you get to see how, eventually, how all the orchids are doing. Because that's the problem. You see when I do the work, and then that orchid might stall, it might not bloom for 2 or 3 years, something like that. It's just on a shelf. You never get to see it again, do you? But by doing these progress updates, you get regularly, reasonably regularly, to see every single orchid as its turn comes round. Now obviously some that got repotted last year won't get repotted again in 2024. They'll go 2 years. But anything that had moss in it will, because I'm going to do those regularly. So only those that went in bark or bark and perlite, but no moss. Those that didn't get moss last year will go 2 years before I even think about repotting them. They'll have to outgrow their pot before I deal with those, because they're in bark, and my bark doesn't go off very quickly at all. So, but my Let's Grow Some Roots mix, which is the broken up sphagnum moss, New Zealand sphagnum moss, with some perlite and some small bark, all mixed together in various portions depending on the plant, depending on how moist I want it to stay. Those will get done every year until they get to the point, because the reason for doing that mix is mainly to grow some roots and get some strength back into the root system. Once it's got the root system, the need for the moss may go away depending on the orchid type. Yeah? But some, like the cooler odonts, probably the paphs, they'll always have some moss, I suspect, because they need to stay moist. So there we go. So that's what's going on. And as I said, the Project Orchids won't seem like Project Orchids now. They will just be a progress update on some orchids. Those that have got good memories will remember the sets. Yeah? And what I will do to make those sets possibly a bit clearer is put the names of the plants that are in that video in the description. Because the names of the plants will probably be done as pop-ups in the content of the video, so those who can't see descriptions still get to see the names of the plants, and obviously pop-ups of the blooms and things like that. I can do all that sort of stuff. So hopefully they will be quite interesting videos to watch. And the variety of orchids will be in each one. That's what I quite like about them. Is the fact that I work on plants without any logic. It's like it's your turn to get repotted, or this is a new plant, it's in lousy media, I need to repot that one now. You know, that sort of thing. So the set contains all sorts. It can contain quite a mix. So I think that will work better. You can voice your opinions in the normal manner in the comments. And yeah, I will treat them with due contempt. At the end of the day, I think the progress updates is a good way forward anyway, irrespective of whether you think of them as a project or not. They're not really a project, they're just progress updates on the orchids I've got. And some people are quite interested in following, like when I get a new one and it gets repotted straight away. How's that one doing? You know, have you still got it? Some of my older plants, you know, that perhaps don't get shown so often, that I've had a long time. Have I still got that one? And talking of which, I'm going to get it down because there seems to be an awful lot of confusion going on about this flipping Vanda. I only have one Vanda. I did have two, one of which was going to be a Project Orchid, and it died. That was the one with the little orange flowers that Hannah got me a long time ago. I have one left, and it's the one that has the giant purple blooms on, tessellated blooms. They're called blue, but it's not really blue, it's purple. And it looks like this, and it's in a glass bucket. And it was up in the bathroom. It's no longer in the bathroom, basically because I wanted the extra light to try and get it to bloom again. Well, that's worked. We have a spike. Hopefully that spike won't blast, because it's now come down in the grow room, because I'm not handling it very well up in the bathroom. It keeps getting forgotten. So it's come down here now, and let's put it this way, it put up with the cold round the other place and still did okay. Mind you, it did get the heat in the summer, which it won't get here. But it's going to have to survive here as is. And it gets a good soak every now and again, left to soak, and water poured over the aerial roots, give it a good hydration and feed, and we should get some blooms on it. That is the Vanda. There is, like Highlander, only one. And there won't be any more, they're too big. And most of them are warm growers as well, so they don't suit my my grow room anymore. Used to have quite a few. I had a lovely species Vanda once, can't remember what the hell it was called, that's a long time ago. That actually had Fusarium when I got it, and it slowly but surely took the plant down. And I had a big pink one, I had a big white one. I think they went to somebody else, I think. And I kept the big purple one and the orange one, which has now died. Right, so that's cleared that one up. As far as the genera that I'm working with, apart from a couple of ones, like I only have one, it is just going round. It's Coelogenes, Dendrobiums, Oncidium types, Masdevallias, Restrepias. I've said Oncidium types, that includes everything. That's Brassias, the Odont types, that's Oncidium alliance, basically. There's a lot in there. And my Cymbidiums are relatively new. I've got a couple of Zygopetalums and my Paphiopedilums. And that really is it. I don't think I've missed anything. I mean, if you just look up here, oh, and there's a few Cattleyas, I always forget them. They're not doing very well. Yes, there are a few Cattleyas. Yeah, I mean, if you just come down this shelf, you've got Cattleyas, Dendrobiums, Cymbidium, Oncidium types, Paphiopedilum, Coelogene. Yeah, so just in this corner, it covers most of the genera that I grow. I may try and get some Sarcochilis. There are now several people at the Wessex Orchid Society that I belong to, some of which actually bought some flasks and have deflasked them and now have some blooming sized plants. So I may try and get a couple of those to have another genus, to introduce a new genus, because it's becoming more difficult to think of a genus that will work in here and not struggle, that I haven't already got. If you can pop some ideas up, if you think, you know, I've got lower temperatures, I've got good light, I can subdue that bright light. They can't get direct sun. That can't happen here. This doesn't get the sun. The only sun it gets in the 3 months of midsummer is through that roof, and that gets shaded in the summer because it pushes too much light through. But yeah, so I've got bright light. I can reduce that light by putting things on lower shelves. I've got reasonable humidity, not high, and I've got relatively low temperatures, minimum 15, that's what my thermostat is set at, and the highest I think it's ever got in here was 26, 27, and that was when the sun was coming through the roof and it was hot outside. We were having a heat wave. So it wasn't really the sun through the roof that was upping the temperature, it was the ambient temperature outside that was high. You know, that was up 30 plus outside, it's going to filter into here, isn't it? So that's where the heat came from. That's unusual. You could safely say that my summer daytime temperature is 24, 25, and in the winter it's between 18 and 20 daytime. So that's my temperature range. Light can be adjusted accordingly, and humidity is reasonable to good. It's not high. So anything that needs really high humidity, no, because at these temperatures it starts creating mould on the structure and, you know, everything, and on the leaves, you know, it starts getting out of hand. So if you've got any ideas of things I haven't already got or tried, then you can always suggest them. I may or may not take up your suggestions. I may treat those with due contempt as well. I'm only joking. Any suggestions are always gratefully received and sometimes acted on. Right, so coming up this week we will have a progress update on set 6, which you haven't seen yet. It's quite a small set, there's only 5 orchids in it. So there's that to come this week. There won't be Project Orchids, so that regular Friday thing is now off. We will have our regular Wednesday thing, however, which is videos requested by viewers. So we'll pick another one of those for Wednesday. And yeah, we'll see how we go. As I said, it's a quiet time in the bonsai world, so my poor old Bonsai Channel don't get any videos at all at the moment, until potting time comes round and early spring pruning and all that sort of stuff. I've got some shaping and wiring to do. I've got a complete design to do on a nice juniper that's still sat in a big flower pot. So there will be some videos on there eventually, and the gardening channel will start coming into its own as we get to, you know, probably late February, early March. We will start having regular garden updates as everything comes back into growth. It's going to be good. There's a lot in the garden this time round, so hopefully the heavy work's done, light work will continue, and new stuff will appear that's been planted this year. So that'll be good. Right, that's going to do for today. I wanted to show this orchid, if I can get it out without knocking everything over. Mainly because it's doing very well, thank you very much. And last time we looked at this, I remember saying that this new growth over here isn't going to bloom because the leaves have started to form and there is no spike coming up the centre. So I knew that one wasn't going to bloom. The other 2 new growths I wasn't sure about. Well, hey presto, this one's got a spike and so has this one. So we've got 2 more spikes coming on, and if all 3 would be out together, which I doubt, which is a shame, they would look pretty good. These are gorgeous blooms. That's an incredibly slight fragrance. It might be that if there was some brighter light around, there might be some better fragrance, but there isn't, so there isn't. There isn't, so there isn't. Yeah, that worked. Now I'm hoping to grow my cotyledons well from now on. I've got the lower temperatures, they don't like the heat in the summer, and what happens with the heat in the summer with cotyledons is they stop growing. and people often ruin their root systems on their cotyledons because they carry on feeding them when they're not growing. Many times I'm going to have to say that. Has it gone in yet? If your plant's not growing, what's it going to do with the food, you know? It might have some root activity that you can't see necessarily, but yeah, generally speaking, a plant that is inactive doesn't need feeding. And that's what happens in heat in the summer. A lot of cotyledons just slow down or stop. And then in the autumn, they come back, they start going again. And that's the time when in your head you're thinking, oh, I need to ease off the feed now as we go into winter. Well, not necessarily with your cotyledons. We're heading into winter. What am I doing with this one? I'm maturing bulbs and pushing up 3 giant spikes. And growing a new growth and pushing leaves out. Should I be feeding this plant? Well, obviously, yes. So, feed the plants that are growing and ease off those that ain't. So there we go, that's that plant. I'm pleased with this one. This is a Cotyledone Moriana, and it's just the ordinary species, not the special one that I've got over there that I don't think's got any buds on. Where is it? Where is it hiding? Come on, you can't hide a plant. Oh, I see, it's right at the back. That's got new growths coming that hopefully will bloom, so it may follow on. The blooms are going to look very, very similar to this, unless you could put them next to each other, because they're bigger and the colour in the centre is brighter. That's why it was an awarded plant, whereas this one's just ordinary. Although I wouldn't call that ordinary, I'd call that pretty special. Those are lovely blooms. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you that because the other 2 growths are going to bloom. This is good stuff. So I'm just trying to there's a really big strong leaf on this plant. Wherever it is, it's in the way. It's spoiling the view of my blooms over here. Right, so that's that. Yeah, there isn't anything else that's lurking or looming. I think the next thing that's going to be a bit of a show is the Oncidium type over there that's got 6 spikes on it. Buds are starting, I'll say they are starting to show colour, but they are a deep red colour as its base colour. Oh yes, this is what we like. We like a southwesterly wind that takes all the oak leaves off that tree into their garden. It's their flipping tree. Don't want all the leaves in here. I've got a pile out here that I swept up for my house inspection. And they're still coming down, they're still all over the place. But once they're down, I will have a proper tidy up. I've got my my nice rake. Well, that'll be on the gardening channel, but that rake I bought that can rake the gravel and make it nice and smooth, and it can rake up leaves. And if you have a weeding session, it can rake up the weeds. It's so we will be able to gather together all the leaves. And it would be nice to have a compost bin, but I haven't really got anywhere to put it. And the problem is, if you start making lots of compost, where would I put it? I've only got one bit of garden, that bit there. You know, so I wouldn't have anywhere to put it, so it's not worth the effort. It'll go into bags and go up the recycling centre and go in with all their other stuff that all gets shredded up and turned into mulch and compost and stuff for their beds around the town. So yeah, so they will get used. You know, they'll go into recycling. They just won't get used here. Right, that'll do for today, because it takes a while to process this, because it's quite long. It is. How long are you? Oh, come on, where's the time? Oh, there it is. 35 minutes. Well, with the bit on the front and the bit on the back, it's heading up towards 40 minutes, so that's plenty long enough to sit with one creator on one channel. But I do enjoy your company, and I enjoy your comments when I get up the next day with my coffee. Bleary-eyed, just woken up. That's when I do my comments. I always do them first thing in the morning. Which for some parts of the world is last thing in the day, isn't it? You know, but I'm doing them first thing in the morning UK time. Right, so there we go. So that's what's sort of going on. That's the idea for the replacement for the Project Orchids, is a continuation of the progress updates in some shape or form. But it will need, by necessity, to change. Because obviously I'll be doing progress updates on work that was done earlier this year, but then we will start doing work again next year. So there will be a mix as we go along. Well, hopefully it'll work. As I said, you can forget everything I've said about it and just see, oh, there's one of those progress videos. I like those, I'll watch that. You don't need to really know about what's going on. I'll look after that bit. Headache, aspirins. But yeah, it's manageable. It'll work. I'll make it work. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.